Great. Thank you very much. It's lovely. I'm going to pinch the stand. I hope it's all right. That won't feedback, will it, if I do that? Is that all right? Now I'm hiding. I'm going to come out here. My name's Dave, and I live in Bideford. I used to work at Lee Abbey, if you've ever heard of that place. I was there for 9 years. And I think some of you, I don't know if you remember, but I think Lee Winsbury was here with you. Did he speak one time? Anyway, I know Lee from Lee Abbey, and he was the one who mentioned this fantastic place to me. So it's lovely to be here. It is a real privilege. I work as a writer and a speaker, and what I try and do is to get the Bible off the page in sort of down-to-earth, ordinary, contemporary ways, really. So that's what I'm hoping to be able to do tonight. Could we have the first slide? That'd be great, thank you. Do you know, I love finding happy pictures of Jesus because, to be honest, when you Google Jesus, 90% of the pictures do make him look unhappy, and a lot of them have him standing like this, which he never did. He was a human being full of life. So that's one of the pictures. That's a guy called Bruce Marciano playing Jesus. I love that photo there. And tonight I was given the theme of God in a community, God at work in us and through us. So I thought this was probably the best Bible bit I could find. It's a kind of prayer you can pray every day. It's a brilliant prayer to pray. May your kingdom come, may your will be done on earth as in heaven. God's kingdom in us and God's kingdom through us in the world around us. You know, it perfectly sums that up, really, that longing that we see God at work in us and through us. So tonight I wanted to share some stories, and I've got a couple of film clips and that sort of thing. Could I have the next slide? Don't know if you knew, but it's Star Wars Day today. Any Star Wars fans? Oh, look, there we go. Brilliant, brilliant. Did you know, May the 4th be with you? You knew that, didn't you? There we go. Terrible joke, but, you know, you have to do it if you like films. And, yeah, I use sort of ordinary films and ordinary stories, really, just to help us think about life and faith and the Bible. Could I have the next slide? Thank you very much. I don't know what's coming next. Oh, here we go. Robin Williams. Now, how many people know the film Dead Poets Society? Okay, so for those who don't, Robin Williams plays Mr. Keating, a poetry teacher, and he loves poetry, but the boys he's teaching don't. So what he does is he does what Jesus did. He does loads of practical stuff to get people involved with what he loves. So for Mr. Keating, he gets the boys at one point to stand on his desk. Don't know if anyone ever did that at school, got that chance. Oh yeah, could we just go back one? Sorry, we'll come to that one any second now. So this is his desk, and he's standing on it saying to the boys, come up here. And the boys' jaws drop. They can't believe it. But you see, he wants to say to them, look at life differently. Let's look at this classroom differently, so you begin to see life differently. So amazingly, he gets all the boys on his desk. Then what happens, a bit like what happened with Jesus, if you come along and start stirring people up, bringing resurrection and new life, some people don't like it, and they get rid of you. So they got rid of Mr. Keating. So if we can have the next slide. As Mr. Keating is leaving, this is what the boys do. They remember what Mr. Keating taught them about standing on his desk. So one by one, they get on their desks. And they show Mr. Keating that they haven't forgotten what he taught them. And that is so like what Jesus did, isn't it? Jesus said, right, 3 years with you guys and with the male and female disciples he had, showed them so much, got them involved with so much, didn't just tell them stuff, did stuff. And then he said, now it's time for you to stand on your desks. Are you ready for that? Now, if you're like me, you think, what's your plan B, God? Because I'm not very good at doing the Jesus stuff. And God goes, I don't have a plan B. I just got all you lovely people. I'm quite clumsy. My wife calls me Frank Spencer sometimes, if you can remember Frank. Another way to put it would be is I'd love to think that I'm James Bond, suave and sophisticated, but I'm a lot more like Johnny English, really. Any other Johnny Englishes in tonight? I bet there are. Okay, can we have the next slide? So, you know, we're invited to do the things that Jesus did, maybe in different ways. And that's one of the thoughts I want to throw out, really, as to what it might mean for us tonight. This is a saying that my friend gave me a few years ago. You are the best bit of multimedia God has. There's a guy called Tom Shadyac, and he directed a movie called Bruce Almighty, which is a brilliant movie. It's full of layers about faith in God and Jesus, but it's also a romantic comedy as well, so it's kind of, you've got to dig away at it. But the director was asked about the movie and what he'd done. So he told this story. He said there's a nun who goes to God one day and says, look at the world. It's a mess. Come on, do a miracle. And God goes, I have done a miracle. I made you. This room is full of miracles tonight, isn't it? All of us have our own stories about God at work in our lives. We are the hands and feet and the smile and the faces and the kind words and the courage and the stories of our lives that we can share in words and actions and just our very living. I read I heard someone read a lovely little story the other day, and the essence of it was that that God was hiding inside this girl who had special needs, very special needs. And at first, this guy looked at her and he thought, oh, why have we brought her here today? And he realized that was how he was going to meet God, because God was hiding in this very special girl. God is hiding in you and I. And that's another prayer we can pray every day. God, wherever I go today, hide in me, so that people may suddenly think, hang on, what's that about? So you're the best bit of multimedia God has. And Paul also said it, but he said this. He said that we're living letters from God to other people. Great. Can I have the next slide, please? Is it going to be a video next? Okay, so I'm going to show you a bit of Spider-Man. Got any Spider-Man fans in tonight? Great, okay. I'm going to show you, now Spider-Man's confusing because there's been so many versions. This is the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and there's a great, lovely bit where Spider-Man's girlfriend, Gwen, gives a little speech, and you're going to hear that. It's all about hope. But first of all, I'm going to show you a bit of Spider-Man at work, and then hopefully you'll hear the little speech, and I'll make a few thoughts out of that at the end. Great, thanks.
Good morning, New Yorkers. Looking for another beautiful day here in the city. Blue clouds to start us off.
The steady increase in sightings of Spider-Man has sparked a national debate over the role of vigilantism in American crime fighting.
How about that Spider-Man? Last night on Manhattan Bridge, you saved a dozen lives. We want to hear your calls.
I think without Spider-Man, there'd be no hope for this city. Who do you think pays the bills for all the damages he caused, huh? It's you and me, tax.
Did you make this? Yes. This is a wind turbine. Did you make this? No way. This is amazing. It's good as new, right? I'll walk you home. What's your name?
Jorge.
Jorge? I'm Spider-Man.
It's easy to feel hopeful on a beautiful day like today. But there will be dark days ahead of us too. There will be days where you feel all alone. And that's when hope is needed most. No matter how buried it gets, or how lost you feel, you must promise me that you will hold on to hope. Keep it alive. We have to be greater than what we suffer. My wish for you is to become hope. People need that. And even if we fail, what better way is there to live?
What better way is there to live, was what she said right at the end there. So she says 3 things about hope. And the first one I always think is quite topical whenever I sort of show it in a setting like this. She says, it's easy to have hope on a beautiful day like today. It's easy to have hope in a beautiful setting like this, isn't it? Fantastic. What worship. And, the people we're meeting with and the encouragement. I've already had a real shot of encouragement by coming here tonight. It's easy to feel hopeful. But what she says is hold on to that hope. Get it inside you like, charging a battery. Hold on to it. Remember it. Give yourself something to remind yourself of the hope you have here tonight. I carry around a jigsaw piece with me because we're all part of God's big picture in this world. And we can't control that picture. That's God's job. But without that piece, you know what it's like when you do a 1,000-piece jigsaw and the last piece is missing? You know that feeling? Anyone ever had that? That's what I'm talking about. You are the vital last piece in the picture that God is creating in the world. So I carry a jigsaw piece to remind myself for the days when I wonder if I'm really doing anything any good at all. So she says, hold on to hope. And then she says, become hope for others. You know what? The Bible is full of people who are a mess. They're all of them, apart from Jesus, a bit of a mess, really. But most of them that are heroes become signs of hope to other people. Mary, Esther, Ruth, Abraham, Peter, Paul. They become signs of living hope for other people. And she says that. She says, become hope for others in what you do. And if you get it wrong, it doesn't matter. She says, even if we fail, what better way is there to live? So tomorrow you'll probably get it wrong. But then the next day you might get it right. So hold on to hope. Pray that you can become hope for others. And don't worry if you get it wrong. Because God is well used to working with people who keep getting it wrong. Have the next slide, please. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of Bex Wilson. Radio 4 did a great program on her. They have a series called My Name Is. So they did one on My Name Is Bex. And I was driving and I thought, that sounds interesting. What's that all about? And I discovered they were doing this program about this fantastic Christian woman called Bex. She is a deputy head teacher in Leeds. And in one of her classes, she found out that one of the boys, she saw he was tired. She said, are you not getting enough sleep? And he said, I haven't got a bed, miss. He had no bed. And so she thought, what's that all about? And then she talked to him. They didn't have any furniture. They were really, really poor because of things that had happened to his family. So she thought, I'll buy them some beds, which she did. She got permission from her headmistress. She went round to the house. She couldn't believe it. They had one light bulb and one plastic chair in the house. And the mum moved the light bulb around the rooms. So she was very moved by this, you can understand it. She started to look for a bed charity. She thought there must be something out there. And she couldn't find one. So then she thought, how hard can it be to start a bed charity? She said, very hard. Turned out to be really hard because beds are big to store, big to carry, and you've got to always provide new ones. You can't use secondhand. But you know what I love? She talks about going to a church, and some of the people they interviewed said, Bex is very persuasive. And she got a church involved, and she got other people involved. And what I love is this. As I was listening to it, I was thinking, I know what God did there. He used her naivety. She thought it was going to be easy. And God went, that's brilliant, Bex. Think that for now. Make a start, and I'll help you with the tough stuff. And that's often the way it works, isn't it? You think of Gideon. Gideon starts off with a big army, doesn't realize that it's going to get whittled down to 300. Because actually it's not about Gideon fighting, it's about God fighting our battles, isn't it? And here's this young woman just doing this fantastic work from nothing, began from nothing, and now it's become this big charity. And it's a bed charity where she's helping so many youngsters who don't have beds. Can you believe it? Who don't have beds. And that one of the moving stories she told about this first family she helped was she helped the mum get some education and get her life turned around. Lots of things happened. And then about 10 weeks later, she said the mum turned up at the school gates with a roll of notes, money in her hand. And Bex said, it's not a good look outside a primary school to have a mum turn up with a wad full of notes in her hand. And Bex said, I don't want any money for what I've done. And the mum said, no, I want to help another family get what I've just been given from you. Is that beautiful? Is that beautiful, isn't it? I can have another slide, please. Now, there's this guy called Shane Claiborne. You might have heard of him. He is a radical. He's an American guy from Philadelphia, and he's done something massive. He's set up a community in a poor part of his city. But what he says, this is one of his sayings, and I love this. It's the saying of my life. Get ready, because God is preparing you and you and you and you for something very, very small. Because it's small things that change the world. And it's got so much power, that saying, because Shane Claiborne's done something really big. But he advocates that what needs to happen is all the Christians, all the people who love Jesus, just keep doing those small things. That's how the world will be changed. And it's hard because you don't get an Oscar. You don't get a trophy. You don't get $1 million. You don't even get an applause sometimes. Not on this earth anyway. But heaven notices. Heaven says, keep going, keep running. Keep doing those small things. There's a story about a lady called Joanna. It's a true story. She went into a prison in South Africa, and she started to just chat to the prisoners there, and she was listening to them. And they made a documentary about her. And she'd started to make a big change in this prison. And when they asked her about what she was doing, she said this: God was already in that prison. I just had to make him visible. Best bit of multimedia. You and I, we're just called to make God visible. I'm rubbish at talking to people about my faith. I'm terrible at it. I know other people who are brilliant. I'm rubbish, but I can write. So I use my writing. Some people can bake. Fantastic food tonight. You know, we have all our different gifts, okay? Just pray that God will pour his living water through what you can do, not what through you can't do, through what you can do. It doesn't matter what your hobby is. It doesn't matter what you love. Say, Lord, pour out your living water through that. Let that be a way that I can make you visible in this world. And we can all join in with that. Okay, another slide. Have I got another slide? Oh, yeah. Now, if you are feeling tonight at all like the world is a difficult place, and I frequently feel that, this is a great little saying that I love and often share with people from a book called What We Talk About When We Talk About God. I'll read it to you. You've probably seen it anyway. The good news of Jesus is the shocking, provocative, revolutionary, subversive, counterintuitive good news that in your moments of greatest despair, greatest failure, greatest sin, weakness, losing, failing, frustration, inability, helplessness, wandering and falling short, in all those places, God meets you there. Right there. Right exactly there in that place. And he announces, I'm on your side. I'm on your side. And none of us can cop out of that, can we? Because we all know some of this. We all know these moments. And God says, I'm with you. I am on your side. So just to finish this little spot, I wanted to play something I made for Good Friday this year. I was speaking at a Good Friday service at our church. And so I took an old version by Judy Collins of Amazing Grace. And I took some clips from The Passion. But I want to say, before I start, there's nothing brutal in it. You do see Jesus after he's been taken off the cross, so he is pretty battered then. But I wanted to avoid, the real violence that was in that film. But hopefully it's like just a great time to reflect on Jesus giving everything he's got for you and for me. So we'll just play this, thanks. Is it possible to start it again? It jumped then. Can we just try that? See if it can go back again. Sorry. I don't know. It might be in the video. But. I'm going to hand over to Richard now, who's going to lead us in the next part.